This is Diana and welcome to Crafted Sweetly. In this video I will show you how to make a unique gift using just some wooden blocks to create personalized books. It's a really easy technique and you can create a nice display. The wood that I purchased to make this project I got at Home Depot, and it comes in 6-foot length pieces. This is 5.5 inches wide, and I'm doing 7 inches long for the books themselves. When I had Home Depot cut this, they obviously need a new saw because everything was kind of raggedy here the way it was cut. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm taking some sandpaper just to kind of run over the edge here to make sure that this is not, you know, as rough and somebody could get splinters on it. So I'm just gonna run the sandpaper across both sides. Eventually I'll only use the top anyway, but I still don't want splinters sticking out on this part. So I'm going to go and sandpaper both sides for all the pieces that I'm using, and the number of pieces will obviously be determined by how many names you need to write on the side. As you can see on this one too, the edge is a little rough here, again because of their saw, but this is very nice and sharp, it's clean, and the top is clean. So I'm just gonna sand these places. Once you have all the wood pieces sanded, so that I also did a little bit of sanding on the side where the cut was, just to take some of the roughness off of it. Once you have that, then just wipe it with a cloth, just to get the dust off. So just wipe all the pieces off. Next step for this is to paint this. Now you can do whatever color you want. For this project I am painting the edge in white, and I'm using an acrylic paint. I got this from Blick Art. It's Blick Acrylic, I guess is their brand name, but I'm using just the titanium white to paint this. You could obviously do whatever color you choose. So just take a brush and I'm just going to paint the edge on the block with a little bit. Once you've painted all of them, let these dry, and in the meantime you can work on the lettering. So I'm going to use my Cricut to cut out the stencils for each one of these blocks. I'll cut vinyl and then put the stencil on here. When I'm working with this in Cricut and designing, I'm going to make basically a white outline in Cricut Design Space so that I can put the name on here and then make sure that it looks exactly as it's going to look on here, but seeing it in the software. So I'm gonna set these aside and show you the Cricut Design Space portion. In Cricut Design Space I have created a replica of the blocks, so you can choose whatever font you want to use, and then type out the texts, but I overlay them on top of the blocks themselves. So I have blocks that are 6 3/4 by 1 inch, which is the white part, and then I put the text in whatever font over it to make sure that it fits, and then when it cuts out it's the right size for those blocks. Once you have everything set to the correct size, I do eliminate the blocks because I don't want those cut. So instead of deleting them, I just make them not visible on the side here. So make the blocks not visible, and then I do, depending on how many words you have, I select all of them and then attach them. Otherwise, as you see, all the words will just run one after the other, and I'd rather just have it in a row going down so that I can cut it out that way. So I'm just gonna go back and then select all the words and then just click on attach, so that way all the words will stay exactly in the position that you see them. So as you can see here, actually what I'll do is I'm going to change this to red so that it's easier to see. You can obviously cut it out of whatever vinyl you want, but I'm just going to change this to red, and that way it'll be easier to see on the mat itself. So here are all the words that Cricut will cut out, and then we'll be using them as stencils. We just want the words cut out, but as a stencil. And I will show you that next. Once you have cut out the words with the Cricut, I cut out the various words separately. So instead of it being one block, because I'm going to apply each one to the separate blocks. And then I'll trim as much as possible around it, so that when I do the stenciling, I don't have all this excess vinyl. So I'll move these out of the way, and then I have most of it trimmed as close as, I don't want to get, like I said, too close, but I'll trim a bunch off. So now we need to weed this, and now we're reverse weeding, so I want to leave just the empty spaces from the word, from the name, because I'm using this as a stencil. So once you have this, I don't want to pick the vinyl up off the backing, because then the center pieces are going to be stuck here, and then you're going to have a hard time lining them up. So I'll use transfer tape to pick up the stencil and then move it to the block. So you can use the line from the marking from here to line up the word. Okay, and I do use some kind of a bone folder or something to make sure that all the vinyl is stuck to the transfer tape. And then I will take this backing off so that it leaves just the vinyl behind on the transfer tape. So it looks like if I'm trying to pick this up, you can see that that's still stuck to the paper. So I want to make sure that the center part stays on the, and it helps if instead of pulling straight up on it, you're actually just rolling it back so that the inside pieces stay where they need to be. And you could always help it with your weeding tool. So once you have this transferred onto the transfer tape, then we will need to apply this to the wooden block. And you do want to make sure that this is centered on this direction, and then kind of the same distance. So I did one previously, and I want to make sure that it's, you know, not too far in from the other, so about the same distance in from the edge. Okay, so now we have this here lined up. If it's not quite right, you can still pick it up and readjust if you need to. Okay, and then you'll use that same scraper to make sure that the vinyl is stuck to the wood part. I will take the transfer tape off, and you want to make sure again that this is attached well to the wood, otherwise the paint will run underneath. To do the writing on the wooden block, I'm using this little tiny brush. It almost looks like a toothbrush, but the bristles are super soft, so it's gonna go into the little areas to make sure that you get nice coverage. So this is the kind of brush. I purchased this set, and it does come in different size brushes as big as this, but I'm using just a small one for this project. And then I will use again some acrylic paint to color this portion in. It does not take a lot, so you can take some acrylic paint and put just a little bit on some plastic or piece of paper or something, because you want just a little bit of paint for this. And I dab the brush in, and then you can go over the wood part to color this in. Once you've colored in the block, then we'll remove the vinyl. And as you can see, the center is filled in, but then we'll just use the weeding tool to get the additional vinyl off of there. Okay, and then there you have this name. So the previous one was right there, and it's lined up with the one above. So continue doing that with the rest of the names that you have, and then again just making sure that everything lines up. To streamline the process, what I would recommend is just weeding all of your words. So all of the names, I would just weed everything and then attach everything to the wooden blocks and then paint everything. So it's almost like an assembly line. You want to do that for a couple reasons. It just makes it faster, but then also if you need to do a bunch of them, but then if you're painting, you don't have to keep washing the brush so it doesn't dry in between each one. When you're painting, you want to do a circular motion as opposed to up and down. I think it gets into the little nooks and crevices much better than just going up and down. And you want to be careful to make sure that you stick to the vinyl and don't accidentally go over the edge. That's why it's important when you cut it that you don't cut it too close to the board, so you have a little bit of a frame when you're painting, and then you don't go over the vinyl. So at this point, one nice thing to do is just tie all these together with a piece of twine. So I have a long piece of twine. I'm just gonna wrap it around several times. So this makes a nice gift. You can add additional, you can make this as far as statistics for a baby. So like a newborn, you could add the time and date and weight of the baby for each block. But this makes a really unique gift. And again, it didn't take very long to paint the edges and then do the weeding and using the stencil with the Cricut Design Space. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please comment below. Please subscribe and share the video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.